Go ahead, ask me. Jeffrey, why are you late? I made a bad choice. I decided to shave today, this morning, versus shaving last night. That's why I'm late. It's okay. I made a bad choice. No excuses. That's what we do here. We don't make excuses, we make choices. So it is April Fool's Day. And what does that mean for us? Well, we're not going to be fooling around. We're not going to do anything silly. But we are going to go through some things that I like to do, which is examine song lyrics. So we are going to start the show with one of my favorite ones, and I'm going to use it to tell you a story. So give me 1 second. I hear the silence. It's okay to be silent every now and then. This is a Kenny Rogers song, the great Kenny Rogers. All right, here we go. So I'm going to try not to sing it because you guys don't like when I sing. I'm not a great singer, but this is called The Greatest by Kenny Rogers. So there's a little boy in a baseball hat. He stands in the field with his ball and bat. He says, I am the greatest player of them all. He puts his bat on his shoulder and he tosses up his ball. And the ball goes up and the ball comes down. He swings his bat all the way around. The world's so still you can hear the sound as the baseball falls to the ground. I feel like my hat is all askew. There we go. It's weird when they mirror the camera. Now, the little boy doesn't say a word. He picks up his ball. He's undeterred. He says, I am the greatest there has ever been. And he grits his teeth and he tries it again. And the ball goes up and the ball comes down. He swings his bat all the way around. The world's so still you can hear the sound as the baseball falls to the ground. He makes no excuses. He shows no fear. He closes his eyes and he just listens to the cheer. The little boy in a baseball bat, he picks up his ball and he stares at his bat. In a baseball hat. Says, I am the greatest. The game is on the line, and he gives his all one more time. And the ball goes up, and the moon's so bright, the swings his bat with all his might, and the world's so still as still can be, and the baseball falls. That's strike three. Now it's supper time, and his mama calls. The little boy starts home with his bat and ball. Says, I am the greatest. That is a fact. But even I didn't know I could pitch like that. Says, I am the greatest. That is understood. But even I didn't know I could pitch that good. Why did I tell you that story? Because today is not about, some fancy words and things that I'm going to tell you or stories I'm going to tell you or another shot back story. Not that I don't want to tell you another shot back story. I'm just glad it hadn't happened to me twice. What it is life is about perspective. Have you ever noticed that two people can see things in totally different ways? It's the same situation. It's the same thing happening to them, but they see it in two totally different ways. Have you ever noticed that? It's not luck. Somebody can see it as a positive. Somebody can see it as a challenge, a thing they're going to do to make their life different. And another can see it as, it's just dumb bad luck. I'm down on my luck. I'm Lemony Snicket. It's the series of unfortunate events. That's always the bad thing happens to me. Or they can view it as a challenge to build endurance and to be better and a chance to grow. And that's what today's story is about. We're going to break down how great leaders shift perspective, not just for themselves, but for those around them. And what we're going to do that is we're going to look at the FedEx logo. So picture, if you will, with me, the FedEx logo. If I could get it to load without crashing my computer, I would certainly do that. But if we look at the FedEx logo, those of us who have been in the business world, it is one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me see if I can adjust my brightness on my phone, and it'll actually work for you guys. Let's see if this will work. I'm going to do it from my phone. Okay. All right. Let's see. Can it work? No. No. Okay. All right. Well, if you look at the FedEx logo yourself and you have a chance, right between the E and the X, you're going to see a little arrow. And when that was designed, It was done intentionally to add that arrow, and a lot of people could not see it. But now if you go look at it and you see it, you'll never unsee it. And I'll post it after the show. But the logo doesn't change. It's always there. That little negative space of that arrow is always there. But your perception of the logo, your perspective on the logo will change. And so you can't unsee it at that point. And it's like an optical illusion. You can change somebody's life by changing how they see the world. And if you start looking at things in a positive light or looking at things as challenges as opposed to problems, you can start to see your way towards success, and you can coach people towards success. One of the biggest failings we have as leaders is that we accept the circumstances for which they are, as opposed to reframing those circumstances for what they need to be for us to then grow. So let's talk through this. Leadership lesson. It's about helping others see it differently, and it's about you seeing it differently. So shifting perspective isn't about ignoring reality. It's about framing it differently than it actually you perceive it to be in the moment. So what we like to do is reframe problems as possibilities. So I'm going to go back to Kenny Rogers for just a second, and we're going to talk about a song you'll probably know, The Gambler. The song goes, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But there's a verse in there, and it says, every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. Because every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. The best you can hope for is to die in your sleep. Now, I don't know about that last part, but the reality he's saying is, if I have a ace high and everybody else has a, two high, king high, whatever, I could have the greatest hand ever. But if I have four of a kind and somebody else has a royal flush, my hand's a loser. So it's about the perspective and the perception and being perceptive of how can you win against your competition? How can you reframe things so that what you're good at is what you're selling? That is really what he's saying there, is that every hand can be a winner. Every hand can be a loser, depending on how you see the circumstances. It can also be a winner or loser, depending on how you bet the hand as well to get other people out. If you bluff well, you can win any hand in poker sometimes. And then let's just go to my other friend. Yeah, I call him a friend. He's not really a friend, but it used to be Young Jeezy. Now we call him Jeezy. But in one of his songs, this one's called The Streets on Lock. Land on my back, do it for the hood if you got a problem with that. Anyway, sorry. I'll get off on a tangent from time to time. But Jeezy said, Big said it first, more money, more problems. The way I see it, more problems, more money. So he's talking about Biggie Smalls. And you think about in Biggie talking about getting rich, and he says, hey, there's more problems that come with more money. But the way Jeezy's trying to reframe that is say, hey, if you can attack those problems, if you can solve those problems, it's not just more problems, it's more money. So I used this one time in a speech at kind of a work event, and it got a big rousing laughter after I'd quoted Kevin Gates and Two Phones. But the point is very astute. If you see problems as opportunities, you get more chances to win in life. And that's really what reframing is all about. Now, Jeezy also did say that his house was stupid, dumb big. His rooms got rooms, which Hannibal Buress called him out on and said, hey, those aren't rooms in your other rooms, Jeezy, those are closets. But I guess if your closet's big enough to be a room, maybe it's also a room. Some other folks in more traditional sense that have done this, Steve Jobs, when they invented the iPod, it wasn't about, hey, look at this cool bulky MP3 player I have. It was, how would you like to have 1,000 songs in your pocket? So something that was kind of crazy and was a big change from the Walkman or the Discman or whatever. I'd argue that it was also smaller, but instead of framing it as this bulky MP3 player, it was, hey, this is 1,000 songs in your pocket. Another person that's done this that probably will get me canceled at this point is Elon Musk. He didn't look at rockets and space travel as just rockets and space travel, but looked at it as a way to make interplanetary human personhood, however you want to say humankind, a reality at some point. How can we go to Mars, and how can we live on Mars? So for him, it's the intent is a long term view. Give you another one. The hat I have on, the Savannah Bananas. They didn't go, oh well, we're going to go compete with traditional baseball. That's what we're going to do. No, they asked a different question, and they turned what could have been a setback into a setup, which is part two. So let's get into that. Um, Turning setbacks into setups is really about how you frame the question, right? So they said not, oh, we're a fledgling, or I'm sorry, failing uh, feeder team for the professional baseball. Instead, they said, what can we do to be different? And then they came up with the concept of, let's put the fans first. Let's make it fun to go to a baseball game. They're not about, oh, some traditional, oh, we're going to get every ground ball perfectly and this and that. They do some of that, but they're about the trick play. They're about entertainment. There was not a minute of that game once the game started, or even once the pre-show started, that wasn't dedicated to having fun. Even during the rain delay, shortest rain delay ever, it was still about having fun because they reframed the question, and they turned what could have been a setback or a stumbling block into a stepping stone, as a friend of mine, Ben Bonner, used to say, or still does say, I believe. Another couple of examples, Walt Disney. Did you know that Walt Disney once got fired for lacking imagination? Just pause on that. He is responsible with a lot of other folks, but he was the brainchild of him was Walt Disney World. Disney World is his brainchild. Disneyland too. He is the source of a lot of imagination, and they even call their engineers Imagineers. How did he do that? Well, he took that. He didn't take no for an answer. He didn't take that step back that setback as a oh, I'll never get it done. He took it as an opportunity to fuel the fire of continuing to grow and build something that now is a multi-billion-dollar business, but it focused on creativity, even though he was told he was lacking imagination. Oprah, she was told she wasn't fit for TV, and now she's a billionaire with books and cookbooks and TV shows and all these other things that have led her to be a billionaire, despite people telling her she wasn't fit for TV. Look at Plato, okay? Not Plato, who we talked about the other day about the storyteller, but Play-Doh. So Play-Doh was originally invented to clean wallpaper, and it was going to fail. The company was going to fail if they continued to advertise and market to people for cleaning the coal ash off of their wallpaper. Why? Well, because coal-fired heaters were no longer in vogue. They were no longer a thing. Central heat was becoming a thing. And so it really wasn't about getting the ash off of your wall anymore. What did they do? Well, they rebranded to be Play-Doh, to be played with by kids, and it has continued to be one of the most sought after toys for kids. It's focused on creativity. It's focused on having fun. It's being expanding your imagination. It's a great toy for kids, but they looked at it and they said, okay, well, we got to rebrand this product and re-ask the question. The question's no longer what problem we're solving. And so they could have let that setback be the end of the company and just, let it go. But instead, they rebranded and focused on a new problem to solve. And then the third thing that great leaders do is they see potential in people before they see it in themselves. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, and I love stories. This one's a personal story to me. So I was an intern. I was a terrible employee as an intern. Most interns are not going to make some huge difference for you. It's not like the movies, okay? You're not hiring Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson with 30 years of experience in sales, and they're coming in as an intern, and then this great thing's going to happen at Google, and they're going to be great Googlers, okay? what typically happens, you hire somebody out of college, they party too much, they drink too much, they come in hungover sometimes, they don't show up on time for work. Um, and you're really trying to train that out of them as they go. You're helping them grow into who they can be as opposed to who they are right now. Now, you may have some great interns. My wife was a fantastic intern. She did a great job. Me, not so much in the beginning. But as I was turning the corner, as I was finding myself and finding my way, I got asked a simple question by a man by the name of Dan. Uh, I call him Dan the Man. He was a really good friend of mine. He retired last year. Dan asked me, hey, can you come and work on the weekend and help us put these boxes on a display? We need to set this up. We need to test this display. We're going to have people come in and check it out because it's called a planogram that people go and shop. Everywhere you shop, they have a planogram. So I said, sure, I want some overtime or I want some extra hours. I'd like to make some extra money. That's all it was to me, making some extra money. So I came in, I think it was on a Saturday, and I met a guy named Brandon. And I didn't know it at the time, but that guy, Brandon, had seen something he liked, whatever it was. I don't know if it was something I said to him. I don't know if he talked to my dad about me. I don't know what drove him, but he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself yet. And so a couple weeks go by, I was wearing oversized clothes to work and, stuff that I could get dirty. And I get a phone call and it's Brandon. And he said, hey, I need you to come over for an interview. Because they had known I was looking for a full-time job. I didn't tell him, but the HR department had known that I was looking for a full-time job because I was trying to get married, needed to have something I could actually, pay bills with. And that was, the next step for me. So he calls me and he's like, hey, can you come over for an interview? And I was like right now? He's like, yeah, I need you right now. I didn't have my resume printed out. I had like a digital copy. Back then, I didn't even keep it up to date like I do or try to now. I could do it in like an hour now. Back then, it was like, oh, it's a whole day event. And I come over in this oversized, like double XL shirt and come over, do the interview. I don't answer the questions well. I suck at it. Everything's terrible. But I ended up getting that job. And I didn't know it, but they had already planned me another job 2 months from then when another gentleman was going to retire. So they needed to get me in, get me on board, get me on the pay, and then on payroll. And then they were going to convert me into this new job. And then that led to another job. And then that led to another job. And they were all inside of one organization with Brandon because he apparently saw something in me. And I'm not saying I'm some amazing, great leader, but he saw something in me before I saw it in myself. That's what great leaders do. They see that potential before you see it. I'll give you another example. It happened to me the other day. My boss's boss calls me. He goes, hey, have you've been working on this project and you did X, Y, and Z. And he said, I know you've probably been down this road before, but could you just ask the question again to see if anything's changed? And lo and behold, something had changed. I was frustrated when he called me because I'm like, God, I've been through this 3 times. I've done this 3 times. But he knew something I didn't know. Something had changed. And he was able to see the potential before I was able to see that potential. And that really is what great leaders do. So they change your framework. When he asked the question, he made sure to lead with, I'm sure you've already looked at this, but do you mind taking a peek again? Why? Because it got me out of the framework of, well, I'm just going to rehash all the things I've already done. No, it's not called search and development. It's called research and development. Sometimes you got to go back and research the same places you've been before. So for today, the challenge I'm giving you is to change the frame. Think of one challenge you're facing this week and ask yourself, what's another way to look at this? And is there hidden potential that you're missing? Right? And then how can you help someone else see that bigger vision? Can you change the way they see it by asking a better question? Because great leaders ask great questions. We'll talk about that on Thursday. But you really need to reframe your mind and let me help you, okay? Right now we're going to do a thought experiment, or we're going to change your perspective, because that's what this really is about, changing your perspective, okay? It takes 8 minutes from the sun to the earth for light to travel. 8 minutes. So I know this is going to blow your mind, or maybe it won't, because maybe you already knew this, but everything you see around you, all the light that hits it from the sun, you're kind of looking into the past. Isn't that crazy? Like if you look at a star, for example, out there, not the sun, don't stare at the sun, but if you look at the stars at night, that happened in the past. Now, why am I telling you that? What I'm telling you is you don't actually, you live inside your own mind, your own perspective. That's why it's your superpower. It's because you can change how you react and how you interact with the world by changing this up here, the way you think, the way your mind works. And if you are able to alter that even slightly and change those bad thoughts into good thoughts and change those challenges into opportunities, you will change your entire life. So with that, let's go to the verse of the day. Just know perspective is reality. Perception is real. And that's why you got to be respectful of other people's perceptions, even when they're incorrect of a particular situation. Or maybe not incorrect, but not how you see it. You both will see it different ways. All right, so let's go to the verse of the day. This is from Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And what is that saying? Well, part of what it's saying there and part of how we can apply this is transforming how we think. If we stay focused on the most important things, and the most important thing is the gospel and on God. If we lift our eyes unto the hill from whence cometh our help, then all the things will start to seem small that face us. Paul said that it's all light affliction, and that's true. You know, the afflictions, the challenges we face, however big they seem in the moment, they are opportunities to prove out how we can overcome those challenges and build endurance. So that's a wrap for today. Let me sum this up. Leaders don't just describe reality; they shape how people see it. Your perspective is your superpower. Use it wisely. Until next time, keep leading, keep adapting, keep making good choices so you don't have to make excuses. As always, we love you. We want you to be successful. We don't say goodbye here. We say see you soon. Sometimes we say see you real soon because we really like Mickey Mouse around here. But
at the end of the day, the day got to end.